All right, good morning, PTI Nice Daily Show. Happy Friday morning. Hope your morning is off to a great start. Here we are on Fitness Athlete Friday, hosted by the Institute of Clinical Excellence. My name is Alan. I'm happy to be your host today. Here on Friday morning, faculty member in our fitness athlete division, and also have the pleasure of currently serving as the chief operating officer here at ICE. Here on Fitness Athlete Friday, we talk about all things related to the CrossFitter, the Olympic weightlifter, the power lifter, the endurance athlete, anybody that's out there training on a regular basis to be a fitter individual. Well, yesterday we released Gut Check Thursday. I saw some of you hit it already. A little interval workout of rowing, power snatching, overhead squats, and then some more snatching and overhead squats with a single dumbbell. Good news, bad news. That will be the last Gut Check Thursday that looks like that. That looks like a higher level CrossFit. That looks like higher complexity gymnastics movements, heavier barbells. We've kind of fallen into the trappings of programming more exciting stuff when the goal of Gut Check Thursday is to be an approachable 10 to 15 minute workout that you could perform at home. Get your friends, your family to participate in, maybe use in the clinic with patients. And so starting next week, we're going to be going back to basics. They will still be tough workouts. They will still be in the 10 to 15 minute time domain window, but we're going to go back to basics with mostly body weight stuff. Every now and again, you may see a jump rope or maybe a rowing machine and a bike, but we're definitely going to get away from the higher level CrossFit stuff and get back to the original foundations of Gut Check Thursday. So if you were looking forward to that happening, then you're in luck. If you're looking for higher level CrossFit type stuff, then you'll have to look to your own gym's programming, we guess. But we're hoping that will encourage you all to do Gut Check Thursday more often. So be on the lookout for that first workout to come out next week. If you want to learn from us here in the Fitness Athlete Division, your next chance to learn how to help CrossFitters, powerlifters, Olympic weightlifters is going to be this Monday, kicking off Clinical Management of Fitness Athlete Essential Foundations on June 7th with myself, Mitch, and Guillermo, talking all things moving a barbell, talking about the importance of load and intensity, how to analyze movement, getting into some of the performance side of things, talking about recovery, sleep, heart rate variability, that sort of thing. So join us Monday. We've got a couple spots left. That'll be our last class before the middle of fall. So we only have this class and the fall class left this year. So if you're looking to get into that class, jump in and join us Monday. And then if you're going to be in the Montana area by chance, you can still catch Mitch out in Bozeman at High Elite CrossFit this weekend. And then if you're just looking to learn more, maybe you're not looking to pay any money right now, you can join us this coming Wednesday, June 9th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern for our next installment of Fitness Athlete Case Studies. So once a month, we break down an entire case study series on a particular fitness athlete that we've been working through in the clinic, talk about how we evaluated, how we loaded them, and their progression so far. So check that out. You can find the Zoom link on the ICE Facebook page. Go to events. You'll see the Fitness Athlete Case Studies event and grab the Zoom link there. So let's get into our topic. We are talking about microcycles in CrossFit. So before we dig into the nitty-gritty of microcycles, we should stop and define cycles of training. So starting from shortest to longest, what we're going to be talking about today is a microcycle. So this is typically 1 week of training. The goal of a microcycle is anywhere between 2 to 4 sessions with the intentional effort to progressively and intentionally overload volume, maybe perform a little bit of overreaching of volume on a specific movement, on a specific type of training, and then a couple days of planned diligent recovery from that training. So what are some examples of microcycles? It could be you want to incorporate a couple runs in this week, a couple sessions of Olympic weightlifting, maybe a couple sessions of practice at a gymnastics movement like a pull-up or a muscle-up. So a couple extra sessions per week, intentionally doing more than you would normally do. You wouldn't do that every week. That could definitely lead to some potential injury and definitely some burnout if you added in a bunch of extra sessions every single week. But this is kind of a short spurt of volume with the intention of causing overload that then you give yourself a couple days to recover from before you perform that movement again, running, muscle ups, whatever you're doing. Multiple microcycles then compose a mesocycle. A mesocycle is typically 3 to 4 weeks. Very typically, we see it as 3 weeks on with 1 week off or a week of deload. So those of you who have ever done powerlifting type training, you're very comfortable with training in mesocycles. You progressively build deadlift, squat, bench across 3 weeks, and then you usually have a deload week, and then you just keep running that back throughout the year, which composes your macrocycle. So a macrocycle is all of the different cycles of training that exist throughout 1 year, composing of multiple micro and mesocycles together. So from shortest micro to the entire year at the macro level, those are kind of the cycles of training. And now we're very comfortable with cycles in Olympic weightlifting, in powerlifting, and in things endurance wise like running, biking, swimming, especially for those folks who are triathletes. Now, when we get into CrossFit, we ask, how do cycles then work in CrossFit? Because Alan, I thought the whole goal of CrossFit was that the training was constantly varied. You never did the same thing, and the workouts are always different. So how can we introduce microcycles into CrossFit? Isn't that against the nature of CrossFit style training? The answer to that is yes and no. That yes, day to day, we are not repeating workouts. We're not repeating workouts on the same day of the week, right? We don't expect to walk into the gym on Monday morning and do back squats and then do a workout like Fran. And then you would not come back and do that again the next Monday. That would not be constantly varied. That would be against kind of the nature of CrossFit style training. But within CrossFit programming, we can have microcycles. We can have even mesocycles. So often, maybe 2, 3, 4 times throughout the year, we have specific goals for members of the gym for mesocycles. Maybe we want to improve people's power snatch. Maybe we want to get them ready for Murph. We just had the Murph workout on Monday. 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, 1 mile run. It's a workout that every CrossFit gym on the planet does on Memorial Day, and many CrossFit gyms will perform a mesocycle of Murph prep building up to that workout. It's a higher volume, longer workout, and so a couple months leading up to Murph, many gyms will work in a mesocycle with the goal of getting their members ready for Murph, of getting used to all of the pull-up and push-up volume, the running, especially for those folks who are going to be wearing the vest, the 20 or 14-pound vest. So how do we accomplish that mesocycle goal? Well, we incorporate microcycles into our CrossFit programming. So we're still going to have our constantly varied programming, a mix of short, medium, long distance workouts, occasional days just dedicated to heavy lifting. But within those days of training, we're going to have microcycles, for example, for Murph prep, of where our workouts include and incorporate pull-ups, push-ups, squats, and running. And maybe there's other stuff in there, or maybe that's all we're doing, and we're slowly overloading that volume week after week throughout that microcycle to build us towards our goal, for example, of getting ready for Murph. So even though training is supposed to be constantly varied in CrossFit, we can still push those microcycles and then those mesocycles to meet specific goals. Those goals can be to get members better at Olympic weightlifting, to get better at gymnastics skills. So maybe there's a mesocycle goal of getting members better at pull-ups or handstand push-ups, or maybe getting people to be more tolerant to some monostructural work, like incorporating more workouts that involve the assault bike, for example, or that involve running or double unders or whatever. So even within the constantly varied nature of CrossFit programming, we can still see maybe an extra workout every 7 to 10 days that has redundant movement in comparison to the rest of the programming. So before our gym was getting ready for Murph this year, back in the late fall, early winter, we were doing a mesocycle focused on getting better at power snatching. So maybe in a given month of programming, you would see snatching a handful of times, but the microcycle goal was to have a workout that incorporated power snatching maybe once a week to every 10 days or so that throughout the month, we power snatched more often than we normally would. So that's microcycle use of overloading to meet the mesocycle goal. Now, within the microcycle, we can still have variation. And I think that's important when we are intentionally overloading ourselves to still have variation with how we're approaching that intentional overload. And I think this is where a lot of people can run into trouble with overtraining and injury, is just literally doing the same thing every time they want to incorporate a little bit more volume to incorporate a microcycle to meet maybe a mesocycle goal. So what if your goal is to get better at cleans, right? You want to get better at Olympic weightlifting, specifically the clean. You want to add in maybe 2 or 3 sessions a week of cleans. Well, probably the easiest way to do that would be to just come in and clean every day. Maybe come in and just try to max out your clean every day. From a logistics standpoint, that's easy, right? Come in, max out your clean, maybe before or after class, and then go home. But that's not a very intelligent way to do it, although it would be the easiest way to incorporate it. The more intelligent way to incorporate the microcycle training there is going to be to have varied performance, varied movements of the clean. So maybe we want to improve clean, but maybe one day we're taking block cleans, or we're taking cleans from the hang. Maybe one day we're doing a power clean, so not a full squat variation. Maybe one day we are doing the full squat variation or the full clean. And then maybe we're working sub-maximally, we're moving through some complexes, maybe like 1 power clean and 2 hang power cleans. So we still have that variance within the movement itself. We're not just coming in and maxing out a 1 rep max clean a couple days a week. That wouldn't be a very intelligent way to overload the clean, but we can manipulate moderate weight complexes, heavier singles, and then maybe lighter cleans from the hang, or even during a second workout of the day to get really good at cleans and work towards our goal of getting better at the clean. So on the individual level, what does microcycles look like? It looks like extra sessions throughout a week that should be short and more focused. These athletes in CrossFit are typically still doing the workout of the day, so they're typically still doing a 60-minute class, and then maybe they're doing extra session before or after class, or maybe later on at home, or maybe they have the luxury to come back to the gym or something like that. With these folks, it's very important that we help them understand and manage their load, especially compared to the gym programming. And this is where it's really important that the athlete can see programming coming up so that they don't unintentionally do the same thing over and over again. We know redundancy can often lead to injury. We're doing the same movement patterns, the same weights, the same loads, the same reps. We know our bodies, our tendons, our joints, our muscles love variation. And so if we get rid of that variation and we do too much of the same thing, we know that can potentially lead to injury. So helping these athletes understand that these sessions should be short, they should be maybe spread out a couple days throughout a week, and that they should be looking at the programming to not intentionally overdose themselves with this extra programming when they're undergoing a microcycle. Now, at the gym level, it's a little bit easier. The head coach, the owner, whoever's doing the programming knows what's coming, right? They know the next week, maybe the next month, maybe the next 3 months of programming. Maybe they have it plotted out. They know when they're going to insert little microcycles to meet that mesocycle goal, and they can kind of see the big picture. Maybe it's an extra session every 7 to 10 days. That includes those movements they want their members to get better at, and it's incorporated into the workout of the day. So they have the benefit of kind of foreseeing all the programming, and if done well, can slowly overload their athletes week by week, month by month on the stuff they wanted to get better. Murph prep, power snatch, handstand push-up, double under, muscle up, whatever they want their members to spend a couple months getting better at. So obviously, being in charge has the benefit of knowing what is coming down the pipeline. Now, what's an easy way to categorize some of these movements, and what are some movements that folks in CrossFit often want to get better at? It can be overwhelming to be in the gym. There are 300 something movements in CrossFit, so it can feel like there's so much I need to get better at. I always want to be working at getting better at some stuff. But some common things people often want to get better at, when we look at monostructural movements, folks often want to get better at double unders and running. We look at weightlifting. most folks always want to get better at squat and deadlift. And then obviously pretty much everybody wants to be a better Olympic weightlifter. So the clean and the snatch. And then gymnastics, folks typically want to get better at things like pull-ups, toes to bar, muscle ups, stuff up on the gymnastics bar and the rings. And then freestanding, things like handstand walking or handstand push-ups, some vertical pressing gymnastics. So those are the typical movements that folks will often want to get better at. And again, it's important to help athletes understand you can't get better at it all the time, all at once, right? You slowly get better at everything over time. That's kind of the whole nature of CrossFit, but we can use microcycles, add in another session, another 2 sessions a week if they have the time on top of what they're already doing in class programming to help them meet their goals. So what is a good example of a microcycle in action? I'm actually at the end of one right now, this week. So I have a mesocycle goal of improving my clean. So over the next couple months, I really want to focus at getting better at my clean, and then I'll move on. I'll probably move on to working on muscle ups or handstand walking or something like that. So to meet that mesocycle goal, what does the microcycle look like? So this past Tuesday, I had 5 sets of 4 hang power cleans with the goal to find a 4 rep max hang power clean. Today, going into the gym later at lunch, I'm going to do a clean complex. I'm going to do 6 sets of 1 power clean and 2 hang power cleans around 75% of my max, so about a moderate weight there. And then tomorrow, I have a longer workout, a 30-minute AMRAP that has light squat cleans and then some pull-ups and I think running. And so 3 days out of the past 5 days will have a clean variation in it. So three out of the 5 extra sessions have a clean variation. Now, again, we can have that variation of the movement within the microcycle. So Tuesday was heavy, right? Heavy sets of 4, very, very heavy cleans. Today is a moderate weight complex, and then tomorrow is a very light but high volume variation. So even within the microcycle, there's some variation that helps stave off injury and boredom too, right? Boredom and burnout of doing the same thing. I would be very bored if tomorrow I was just going in to max out my power clean for the 3rd day this week. I would hate that, as most people would, and it wouldn't be very productive either. So even within the microcycle, there's some variation. Now again, like we talked about at the start of the show, what's important is, yes, overloading that volume, but also reducing that volume back down after the microcycle is over. So intentionally taking a couple days off from that movement after you've gone through the microcycle. So for my training, cleans don't show up again until next Friday. So 3 out of the 5 days this week I've done cleans, but then I won't clean again for 5-ish days. So giving my body a little bit of break from that movement and then incorporating that movement back into my training. And then for me, because my mesocycle goal is getting a better clean, I will then go through another microcycle where I have 2 to 3 days a week of clean variations in my training. So jumping up the volume, recovering, jumping up the volume, recovering, a couple microcycles, building towards that mesocycle goal. And then again, once the mesocycle has passed, I will move on to a different goal and my microcycles will look different. Although with CrossFit style training, I will still be doing cleans occasionally and kind of maintaining the gains I've made during the microcycles. Now, where can we go wrong with these? Just like we talked about, especially in CrossFit, we have 300-ish movements and people don't want to be bad at any of them. They want to be great at all of them. And so folks adapt this mindset that if some is good, more is better. If that 2 sessions a week of cleaning will make me better at cleans, what about 3? What about 4? What about 5? That might be good if you're an Olympic weightlifter, but that's all you're doing as an Olympic weightlifter, cleaning and snatching and squatting. As a CrossFitter, we have so many other movements that we do. We can't come in and do extra stuff of the same movements every single day. We know that leads to injury. So we see this in the gym, and we often have to tell people to cool it, that folks are doing extra sessions of the same exact movement every day, especially after class, right? Folks are always in the gym after class doing a bunch of muscle ups, doing a bunch of handstand push-ups, maybe doing a bunch of bench press or double unders. And we have to say, hey, that is a route that could potentially lead to injury of just doing the same thing every single day, right? That goes against the nature of CrossFit style programming to just always be doing the same thing. Like, it's okay to not do muscle ups every day. It's okay to maybe even not perform a muscle up during a whole week, right? It's some of these movements we only see a couple times a month, maybe even one time a month, and that's okay. We know the next time we jump up on the bar, we're still going to be able to do those muscle ups. We don't need to do them every single day after class. So that redundancy in the overload can potentially lead to injury, especially if we're coming in with the goal of doing max reps or max deadlifts. So when these folks want to incorporate a little bit of extra sessions, remember, keep it short. Keep it short and intentional. A couple sets of cleans, a couple sets of muscle ups, maybe a 10-minute EMOM or something of double unders, but keep that overload short and spread it out throughout the week. And then once they've spiked that volume, remember, bring that volume back down. Next week, only do double unders if they show up in the workout. Don't keep practicing them every day after class. We know that's going to potentially lead to injury. So that's what it looks like to have a mesocycle goal and then incorporate extra training sessions or manipulating the program to work towards that mesocycle goal. And can be very productive. Runners, endurance athletes, triathletes are very, very used to this style of training where they're really going to push a couple heavy sessions in a microcycle in a week and then back off the volume, do some recovery focused work, and then spike it again, run it back again as they work towards their mesocycle goal of maybe more endurance, more speed, more aerobic power, whatever their goal is. Endurance athletes are very used to this. CrossFitters not so much, so they can use some help. So consider microcycles. Maybe you're somebody that wants to get better at some of these movements. Play with it. Play with a couple extra sessions a week. But remember, keep it varied. Keep it short. Try to manage the volume. And then give yourself diligent recovery, a couple days off from those movements before you incorporate them back in. If you're working towards them in a mesocycle goal or moving on to a different goal, a different movement in your next microcycle. So that's microcycles in CrossFit in a nutshell. If you're going to be in Bozeman with Mitch, have a great time. If you're going to be in Denver with Jason, or down in Olney, Maryland with Dustin and Alex for Older Adult Live, have a great weekend. We'll see you all hopefully in Essential Foundation starting Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.